Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress, Kentucky. Aaron Viles is on vacation tonight, so I will be your host, Kimberly Cecil Jones. So, also this week, we will cover Kentucky's breaking political news, including who's heading to Fancy Farm for the annual political hootenany. Then we're very excited to interview Murray State history professor, chair of the Kentucky Humanities Council, Dr. Brian Clarity. We're also glad to be welcoming him back to the show. We'll then close out with a critical, very important call to action. But first, let's get this right. Are you ready to help turn Kentucky purple? We know that our state is deeply red with a GOP supermajority committed to moving us backward on LGBTQ plus rights, on the uh, BIOPOC visibility on women's rights, weakening the ability of unions to collectively organize for better pay and better working conditions, and critically important elections coming to voters across our state in November. So, if you want a commonwealth, yes, you do, if you want a commonwealth that is going to be working for every last one of us, then yes, you do want to join Progress Kentucky and support our campaign to turn our Commonwealth purple. Make a donation at our Secure Act Blue website, and we're planning our election campaign launch to push back against the hateful liar, very hateful liar, Dan Cameron. And we need resources to print flyers, to pay for text platforms, and promote our efforts on social media and via digital ads. So please make a generous contribution today. We would really appreciate it. Okay, so now it's going to be time to check on our co-host. Let us all know who and where you are and what does your protest sign today. And oh, yes, you that's looking at us right now, why don't you go ahead and put in the comments so we can see what your protest sign says today as well. Put it in the chat while we're sharing ours. Mine says, first of all, I'm Kimberly Cecil Jones, coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky, also Jefferson County. So my protest sign says today, gut out the mess. And when I say gut out the mess, I mean all Republicans that are standing for these insidious bills and the gut, and they're just trying to gut everything that we do. So, yeah, gut the mess. How about you, Mr. Doug?
Hey, Kimberly. This is Doug Price. I'm living large just outside of Cynthiana, Kentucky. Looking for something to do this Friday? Check out the Chamber's summer concert series at 6 p.m. in downtown Cynthiana. My protest sign is to once again tell people they need to get out the vote. Help wanted, get out the vote. How about you, Chris?
Howdy. It's Chris Priest living in Berea,
Thank you
Kentucky.
so much, Doug.
And my protest sign today is no till, yes climate. So try to get the no till methods out there to help climate change. Oh, you're muted, Kimberly. You're muted, Kimberly. Kimberly.
Did you all hear anything I said?
Nope.
No.
Yeah.
But it looked great.
Can you hear
You
me?
look very enthusiastic.
That's because you all caught me putting lip gloss on. I was a little dry. So anyway, I feel better. I feel more democratic now. So let's get to the news of the week.
Okay. I
Our
get to
first
talk.
story for the news of the week. is Doug.
Thank you, Kimberly. I get to talk about Fancy Farm. Many would say this is the political event of the year. For sure, that is true this year. The governor's race is heating up, and all the down tickets are in play also. This promises to be a raucous event. Will this be the year, though, where all hell breaks out? More on that later. Fancy Farm had its beginning in 1880, 1881 as a purely local affair. It takes place on the grounds of St. Jerome's Catholic Church. Since 1956, the year that Kentucky moved its primary election to May from August, it has been held on the first Saturday in August and has come to represent the traditional starting point of the fall campaign season in Kentucky. Not that there hasn't already been a lot of politicking going on. I have attended this event a couple of times and hope to go this year on Saturday, August 5th, 2023. If you decide to go, you need to realize this will be a long day and perhaps into the night. From my home in Cynthiana, Waze says it takes 4.5 hours, and there is the time change to deal with. The speaking usually starts at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I'll have to leave by 7 a.m. EST and hope to get home by 10:30 or so. There will be hundreds of people there, lots of barbecue, as in 19,000 pounds of pork and mutton. There'll be raffles, and most importantly, political speeches that are known for the zingers thrown at each party candidate by the other party candidate. Let me set the stage. There is a big platform facing the crowd that is divided down the middle with the Democrats on the left and the Republicans on the right. When a D is speaking, he or she is heckled by the R crowd and vice versa. Bleachers rise up toward the back of the stage area with a platform smack dab in the middle where KET televises the event live. One time I was there were several people walking toward me, seemingly creating a moving wedge to move people out of the way. Well, it was Jamie Comer, flanked by several people, indicating, I suppose, how important he was. At least, how important he thought he was. He was the ag commissioner then, who ran against Bevin in the primary and lost for governor and lost by 83 votes. Now he is known for being a member of Congress who's trying to find dirt on Joe Biden's son. Maybe we will see him looking for his sources. He can't seem to find those these days. Let's talk about who else will be there. Governor Beshear has not attended the event since 2019, citing the COVID pandemic in 2021 and severe flooding that took place in 2022. But this year, Beshear joins a growing list of confirmed speakers, including gubernatorial candidate Daniel Cameron, Ag Commissioner candidates Jonathan Shell and Sierra Enlow, Treasurer candidates Mark Metcalf and Michael Bowman, Auditor candidates Kim Reeder and Allison Ball, Secretary of State candidates Buddy Wheatley and Michael Adams, and Attorney General candidates Russell Coleman and Pam Stevenson. In addition, current State Auditor Mike Harmon and Ag Commissioner Ryan Quarles will speak, along with office holders who represent Graves County, including Congressman Jamie Comer, State Senator Jason Howell, and State Representative Richard Heath. U.S. Senators Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul are, of course, invited, but at this time, it's really unknown whether they'll be there, whether or not the Senate will be in session in August. Will this year's event be disrupted by those seeking to cause trouble? Daniel Cameron proudly notes that he has received the endorsement of former President Trump, and there is a history associated with those who blindly follow Trump. I found a 2021 Fancy Farm picture of Cameron and his wife posed with two men holding Kentucky Trump 2024 flags. Certainly there is an opportunity for people to be incited by bad actors. Seemingly people are more apt to want to cause dissension as opposed to working together for the good of the whole. Stay tuned. We will have a full report on the August 9th Kernels of Truth. I'll turn it back over to you, Kimberly, for any thoughts from you or Chris.
I just would like to say, as usual, um, the roster for the Republicans is actually embarrassing and dehumanizing. I'm not going to be at Fancy Farm this year, so those of you that go, make sure you tell me how it is. Um, Anything exciting going on, I would love to hear it. But other than that, I'm not with. Mm-mm. I don't have time for shenanigans right now. What do you say about that, Chris?
Yeah, I don't have time for that either. I'll be back to teaching when that's going on. So, um, I I do look forward to hearing any zingers that come out just for fun. And there's usually a little bit of buzz that comes from Fancy Farm, that read news things, and I look forward to hearing about whatever is going on that way. But yeah, I won't be going, and but I hope it's fun for those who do go, and also safe and not harmful to anybody.
Well, I will say this. If you are planning to go to Fancy Farm, you need to get there early. Make sure you bring your chairs in a bag or whatever you need to bring with you, um, because you're going to want to sit down and they're not going to provide that for you. Some people get there before dusk, I mean, dawn, so to speak, to get those picnic tables. So you got to make sure that you're out there early. You've got your chair in a bag, all those type of things. But there will be food and, different things of that nature there as well. Um, Doug, what do you think about Daniel Cameron? I just have a feeling like when the rest when the rest of the state understands that he has an interracial marriage, um, I don't think that's going to help him.
Well, Kimberly, I don't know whether that will help or hurt him. Personally, it doesn't affect me one way or the other. He is who he is, and who he is married who he is married. Um, I would hope that that would not affect people, because it really should hold no bearing on a person's candidacy, as far as I'm concerned.
Doug, we know where your heart is, but I'm talking about the rest of Kentucky. A lot of rural Kentuckians that are Republicans. Do you think that they're going to look very kindly to his interracial marriage?
Well, I guess about the only reference I can cite is the fact that he handily won the attorney general's race, and I believe his marriage was the same at that time. So um,
He wasn't
I
married.
personally do what?
He wasn't married, and most of the African Americans, Black Kentuckians, did not know that he was Mitch McConnell's boy and that he was even basically a Republican. A lot of Black Kentuckians voted for Daniel Cameron because he was Black. Seriously. They were excited that this state was going to have the first Black Attorney General of Kentucky. And then after he won, I had to go on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and put in comments. Don't you all understand this is Mitch McConnell's boy? Do you all not understand he is a Trump sympathizer? And they're like, oh my God, thanks, Kim, for telling us. Oh my God, what have we done? So I don't think that this time that he'll get the votes of Black Kentuckians because of the way that he botched and lied in the Breonna Taylor um, uh, grand jury. Um, so A lot of
Well, I would agree with you on that point. I think he botched the Breonna Taylor, and I think he's used that as a campaign point that he supports the blue. And I support the blue too, but I support the good blue. I support the members of the blue who are good people and who are not racially motivated one way or the other. So I guess time will tell. The election's coming up in a few months.
And
there is a 9% increase in this um, country of hate groups. And as also you received one of those yourself, Doug, there is a renewed insurgence of the Ku Klux Klan in this state. So, one thing that we do know about racists, they don't like to see their pretty white females married to a black man. So I'm just wondering, how is that going to play out in our state once they really see who his wife is? There used to be a rumor she was Mitch McConnell's granddaughter. That was debunked. But I'm just wondering, in a lot of these counties that we know are extremely red, and let's be honest, some of these counties are extremely racist. I just wonder, how is he going to fare in this election being in an interracial marriage? It's just something to think about. We don't like to talk about these things, but you know me, I'm a realist, and I'm going to tell you how it is. Okay, Mr. Chris, you have a story for us.
yeah, um, just all right. So the second story is no-till farming uh, to help save the planet. So this is about the Department of Agriculture in the U.S., not just Kentucky, but Kentucky is just over 50% farmland. So this does significantly, or could significantly, impact us. So the U.S. Department of Agriculture will spend $300 million to better measure the effects of techniques to lower carbon emissions in farming and forestry. And that funding comes out of a $20 billion allocation for climate smart agriculture in the climate and social policy law that the Democrats in Congress passed along party lines, and our president Joe Biden signed this past year. Before I dig too much into this, I do want to give a disclaimer that my wife is an urban farmer. We have a very small urban farm here in Berea, and she uses no-till and no spray. So it's very organic. So we can do a lot towards solving this climate crisis by implementing no-till methods. And part of this ag bill is looking into that, like how what we can do to stop emitting so much carbon through the ag process. And if farmers by mass would implement more no-till methods, they could save up to 50 to 80% of their fuel costs. And that would release less methane or less carbon, and also save them some money in terms of that anyway. And also, when you till the soil, you're also emitting more carbon that had sunk into the ground. And if you use no-till methods, it will just continue to carbon sink. And so and then we also have the a large part of our stuff is our farmland is cows and other livestock, and cows emitting a lot of farts which has lots of methane. We need some serious cow beano. And so there's some research out there that we can feed cows seaweed, and that will reduce their flatulence by about 50%. So lots of cool research going on in the ag world, and so that affects a lot of us through climate change, and also there's over 50% of the land here is agriculture use. So, what are your all's thoughts, Doug?
Sure. Yeah, I'd like to jump in here. I want to talk about cow farts first. Uh, we have a neighbor who has cattle, and I think this affects our weather as the heat changes the course of bad weather. So I think right now, I think that's a good thing. As I was thinking about the story, I thought it might be fun to find some comments by Senator Rand Paul and also Senator Mitch McConnell in regards to climate change. Here's a couple from Rand Paul. This is from 2015. While I do think man may have a role in our climate, I think nature also has a role. The planet's 4.5 billion years old. We've been through geologic age. We've had times when the temperature's been warmer. We've had times when the temperature's been colder. We've had times when the carbon in the atmosphere has been higher. So Rand is a seer. He knows what has happened over the last 4.5 billion years. And from January 2020, he said, despite climate alarmist predictions, humans will likely survive for hundreds of millions of years into the future. In the meantime, we should begin creating atmospheres on suitable moons or planets. So we don't have to worry about climate change because Rand is going to take us to the moon or to other planets. Then I found a comment from 2021 from Mitch McConnell. I concur that it is happening and it is a problem. The argument is about how best to address it. And my only comment related to that is his argument on how to address it is going to be best known when corporations start giving him money to support his power, and then we'll determine what kind of climate change he truly believes in. Kimberly, you have any thoughts?
Anything that has Mitch McConnell or Rand Paul's name included in that is never good. Never good. But I'm just really interested about these cow farts. Like, I never heard of that before. I am very mystified about that right now. And this can cause some damage, so to speak. Um, I have never heard that before. How long have we known about this, Chris?
Uh, Decades, I think. I would say that it really probably came into the limelight about 10 years ago, because I also teach about climate change to my classes, yeah, cow farts came up about 10 years ago, and had got some attention, and it keeps bumping up in attention here and there a little bit, but yeah, I mean the methane from their flatulence is a pretty major deal. If we could kind of rein that in, that's also one of the reasons why we there's a big push for eating less meat, because if we ate less meat, we wouldn't be raising as much cattle. There wouldn't be as much methane from their farts, and also, if we're eating more beans and things, they help, with carbon sinking while they're planted and stuff. So that all rolls into, us having a healthier environment. And I think I forgot to mention that agriculture as a whole inputs about 10% of our overall carbon. I think that's a worldwide number, not just the U.S. I could be wrong. I'd have to look that up. But 10% of our climate emissions come from big ag. So if we're able to reduce 10% of our emissions by using no-till and feeding cows seaweed and things, then I think that would definitely go a long way to meeting the goals that we have to reduce our impact on climate.
Well, I just want to say, probably if you're in the midst of them doing a cow fart, it probably might just about knock you out. But I know some humans like that, especially after they eat some White Castles. So, at any rate, let's move on. Oh man, you learn something new every day. You all know that. You're never too old to learn something new. I had no idea, none whatsoever. We're trying to get Dr. Clarity in, some technical difficulties at this point. So, until we can get that straight, let's just move on to this. I want to bring up something very, very important is about to happen, that I read in a local paper here in Louisville called the Louisville Defender. It's been around since before I was born. And did you guys know, Doug? I know you knew this. Dougie Fresh, you knew this. There is going to be a stamp honoring the late Representative John Lewis. And it was unveiled in an official ceremony at Capitol Hill. Did y'all know that?
I did not know that.
I didn't know
I
that
can't
either.
believe I knew something. I can't believe I knew something Dougie Fresh didn't know. This is amazing to me. Yeah, so House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, just a multitude of people were there. And the design also incorporates a 1963 image taken by Steve Shapiro outside of a nonviolent protest workshop. I think this is great. I think this is great. And it's got his name. I don't know if you all can see this or not, what the stamp is going to look like. Can you see it?
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
That's very nice.
You
That's
know,
awesome.
we know John Lewis, and really feeling like, you know, it seems like something's missing in Washington since he passed on. But I always like to call him Mr. Good Trouble, right? There is trouble, and then there is good trouble when you're standing up for something. So, finally, that man is getting some flowers. What you all think?
Yeah, I just pulled something up on that, and a guest or a person we have talked about in the past, Louis DeJoy, the Postmaster General of the United States, said that the Lewis Forever stamp will be issued, and you may have mentioned this already, on July 21st. And the U.S. Postal Service will commemorate his life with a ceremony at Morehouse College. So that's a pretty big honor, and it's well deserved for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. The contributions that he has given extends all the way right here to Kentucky, for some fairness laws. And the thing about Mr. Good Trouble, John Lewis, is that he wasn't just for the Black Americans, he was also for our brothers and sisters, um, our binary friends in the LGBTQ, IA plus community. Uh, he felt like everyone should have a fair shot at education. We could only become stronger when all of us are educated. Um, he just stood for so much. We don't have a leader like that anymore, do we? Exactly. Exactly. We don't.
Uh,
I mean, would you say AOC or Bernie? I mean, I don't. They don't certainly don't have the track record of some of those big historical moments that John Lewis does, but I think they try to stand up for those sorts of things.
I found a couple other things I'll mention. Um, the article I was looking at said he was best known for leading some 600 protesters in the Bloody Sunday March across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. He also joined the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and four other civil rights leaders in organizing the 1963 March on Washington. He spoke to the vast crowd just before King delivered his I Have a Dream speech. He was in Congress, won his seat in Congress in 1986, and spent much of his career in the minority. But after Democrats won control of the House in 2006, he became his party's senior deputy whip, a behind the scenes leadership post in which he helped keep the party united. And here's something really interesting. It says he was a forceful speaker with a booming voice. He would encourage colleagues and young visitors to the Capitol find what he called good trouble. And I think Progress Kentucky stands for that good trouble also. We want to bring back progressive politics in Kentucky, and we want to do it through good trouble.
That's right. We haven't had the experiences. I have malware on my phone. Can you believe it? Can you believe it that I have malware on my phone? This is crazy. It just pops up when it wants to with the commercial on my phone. It's crazy. Um, Got to go back to T-Mobile again. So, you know, um, Annabelle, our producer for tonight for episode 121, she put that Representative
I
Lamine
mean,
Swan was a great advocate at the state level. And I'm going to say this, and it may get some people a little upset. Um, Respected him, loved him. I think he's been on our show like twice, hadn't he? Maybe twice.
I think so.
Okay. Um, when we're talking about um his life kind of left too early to make the major milestones. Uh, but I'm sure that he would have reached those heights because he was not afraid to speak up. He was someone that did believe in good trouble, but to be at that monumental level, on that national, international level, is actually what I was thinking of and speaking of. Um, who do we have of that type of caliber nationally, internationally? I guess you could say AOC, Bernie Sanders. But I do feel like we have to have more leaders like that, you know, more leaders that's going to be in the front of the protest line. Those leaders that will sleep on the steps of City Hall or the Capitol, whatever the case may be. And I just say to myself, if Mr. Good Trouble, John Lewis, was alive when they did that January the 6th insurrection, it would have been hell to pay. Believe that. He would stand up, stay up all night, do the sit-ins, sit on the ground, get beat up. It didn't matter to him as long as there was a goal that he wanted to reach, and he had his supporters, just like myself, and I'm pretty sure both of you guys. Um, he was a Mack truck that was not going to be stopped. The only thing that stopped him was death. So I'm glad that they have this stamp to commemorate who he is. I'm going to buy me about 3 books of stamps. I don't even mail anything, but I think I need to get me a book or two. Which you all gonna get some? You better hurry up. This is gonna be limited edition. In about 10 years, it's gonna be worth some money. Watch what I
Maybe
say.
Progress Kentucky should buy a bunch from when we send out our letters or and whatnot. That would be nice.
Well, I
I
think
think
the price of postage changes. It may have already changed. If we were going to buy stamps, we probably should have already bought them.
well, we got it comes out on July the 21st, right?
Right. But I mean, the cost may go up.
I think it's
I think
already
the
they've been talking about it.
I think the last price increase already happened a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Did you all hear about Joy Reid? She was in Louisville.
No, I did not.
And somebody got me a ticket to go, and I had to work. I should have called out.
This
And she,
Saturday, Bashir's going to be in Richmond. Oh, nice.
Um,
that's our governor right there. So yeah, I should have called in to work on that one. So she was at the University of Louisville, my school, and she was there with Brandon McCormick, Dr. McCormick, who's the incoming chair of Pan African Studies, because Dr. Ricky Jones is no longer the president, the chair of Pan African Studies at the University of Louisville. So, what else is going on in Kentucky? What's some good stuff that's going on in Kentucky? You said Andy's going to be in Richmond. Is he still doing the tour with the big tour bus?
I think that might already be over, but he's. Oh, I just know that he's going to be in Richmond on Saturday.
I think he's also going to be in Georgetown on Saturday, maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, something like that. So, this is the season where all of the candidates are getting out and about, and we'll have plenty of opportunities to see our governor and also some of the candidates on the down ticket ballot.
Yeah, they got to make their rounds through all the festivals and things that are going on.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is so true. And Andy has to win this. Colonel Pam has to win this. Sierra has to win this. Buddy's got to win it. And Michael Bowman, most definitely. Because our governor is going to be, even if he wins, he's going to need to have a support staff.
Well,
Okay. We just got sent some information about our great governor. He's going to be on this Friday. He's going to be in Shelbyville at 1 p.m. in Borgetown, Kentucky at 2:30 p.m. Then he's going to be at the Bowling Green office opening at 4 p.m. And that's this Friday. And then on Saturday, he's going to be in Georgetown at 9 a.m. Then he's going to be at the Lexington office opening at 10 a.m. And then Richmond, like you said, at 11:30 a.m. So if you want more information about that, you can call the Kentucky Democratic Party, and they would be more than happy to give you all of the information, exactly where it's going to be, and more. So you can also go to Andy Bashir's Facebook page. They put all his information there, on Twitter as well. All the information would be there. You could probably look on the KDP, Kentucky Democratic Party website, and I'm sure they would have a lot of information on there as well. So he's got to win, guys.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm going to steal a little bit of Chris's thunder. I just want to mention something about our August the 19th get together that we're having. Chris is going to a little bit later talk about filling out a form. But our Progress Kentucky, as most people know, we're an all volunteer group. We don't have any paid staff or anything like that. So we depend on ourselves and our followers and folks who are listening out there that are interested in the political process. We depend on you all to help us. And we're looking to have 40 to 50 volunteers to get together with us on August the 19th in Lexington. And we're going to be doing some knocking on doors in select precincts, texting people about voting, trying to encourage people to vote. And so, like I said, Chris will talk about that a little bit more later on, but I thought it was on my mind. I thought I would just jump in and talk about that.
I appreciate that. While you were talking, I also, there's still some technical difficulties that we're still trying to work through with Dr. Clarity. That was great information on August the 19th. Um, you know what? That's coming up on us real close. Before we know it, it's going to be Christmas. And I work for Macy's. Lord help me. They have ungodly hours that we stay open for Christmas. Like, oh my God. Uh, I think I'm going to have my surgery on my other knee. So I don't have to go. You know, that's bad, don't you? So I can be off for Christmas. I'm have my other knee done. So I can be off for Christmas. But I do want to say this. Also, another thing that I have discovered as well in our state is that now the Republicans not only reduced unemployment benefits, um, they're going to reduce um, not just medical, but vision and dental care for our constituents that really, really need it. What can we do, Doug?
You know, that's something I've read a little bit about that. And I think the most important thing we can do as far as that goes, and a lot of the things, we can learn to vote for Democratic senators and Democratic House of Representatives in Kentucky. And we definitely can learn, or we know we need to reelect Governor Beshear. These are some things you were talking about that Governor Beshear put in place because he knew our Republican controlled legislature would not approve it. And it's something that I read an article recently about people having those benefits in some areas of Kentucky, eastern Kentucky, who had no teeth. And now they're able to get dentures and that kind of thing. But the legislature they're ticked off because they didn't come up with the idea. And it doesn't matter if it's a good idea or a bad idea. If our governor thinks of it, it's a bad idea. And they'll probably want to come back in January and change those benefits or do away with them, I guess. And it's really unfortunate because you're really helping the poorest of the poor and you're helping people with a leg up, and the Republicans are not interested in helping those people. They're interested in helping those people who can help them get reelected and who can buy lobbyists or pay for lobbyists to lobby them to get the kind of things that businesses want.
Yeah. It drives me in nuts that we live in the wealthiest country in the history of Earth, and we do not have adequate housing for everyone, health care for everyone, um, you know, uh, and food for everyone. Like at the bare minimum, we need to have the things to sustain somebody's life, housing, food, healthcare, as a minimum. Everybody should have access to that to be able to, you know, maintain their life, at a decent level, and just continuously trying to strip it away. I mean, it's bad enough that it's already, been privatized to a very large degree, and then, continuously those access to it is being stripped away, and our healthcare industry has ballooned, uh, and it's, the amount of money flowing into it is just insane. And there, you could circle on to a lot of different things, but I'll leave it there before I go on a huge rant. But um, it just that greatly upsets me.
Well, you know what I always say. They want us dumb, sick, and ignorant to how things go. They want us dumb, sick, and ignorant, right? They want us to be completely naive to everything that they're doing. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't even think they should be called Republicans anymore. They're not the Republicans that I grew up with. You know, this is some new party. Can I just say, when he came down that escalator. I know, I always go back to that moment, but I'm just telling you the truth. When he came down that escalator, I knew something was going to come about this in a bad way. I mean, I did. I just had like this gut feeling, like, oh my God, oh my God. And at the time, I really did, at the time, I liked Trump as a entertainer. I would watch that show sometimes, The Apprentice, and I thought it was cool, like you're fired, whatever. It was entertaining. But for some reason, when he came down that escalator, I said, oh my God, something's about to happen. And everybody was telling me, Kimberly, you read too much in it. We got checks and balances. He can never do this. He can never do that. Well, didn't he show us that he could? Because just for a fraction, let's just say 1/5 of what he's done, we would be in handcuffs. Am I right, Chris?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's we never as Americans talk about class, but there's absolutely class differences. If you have immense wealth, like him, and other one percenters, like they don't have to play by the same rules that we do. When we see cops being patrolled in low income neighborhoods all the time, they're going after real, like, just stupid petty crime. When we have wage theft over major corporations trying to put teenagers or preteens, working long hours in Louisville and many other places, for very low wages, and in places that won't pay their proper overtime. I have a friend recently talk about him working at a place nearby who, they decided that they just weren't going to pay him his overtime pay. And what recourse does he have? It would be a long battle, lots of court costs. The fees would probably outweigh anything that he would get back from the overtime money. It's just, which speaks to the importance of unions. But and the IRS has been slashed. Not that they were going after a lot of the one percenters' money anyway, but Joe Biden was trying to get them to pay their fair share. And the first thing that the Republicans did was, oh my God, no, we can't let the IRS actually investigate us. we might actually have to pay some money. Um, so it is completely, everything that they do, every ounce of their being is solely shackled to some one percenter's boot, and they lick it clean every time.
And the bad thing about it, we've seen in the news recently about at least a couple of Supreme Court justices who have billionaire benefactors who, I don't know, give them trips and send their private planes to take them places. And of course, there's nothing wrong there. They're not going to rule in favor of that billionaire friend or the business or anything. Of course, they wouldn't do that. And yeah, I don't know. It's Citizens United was one of the worst things that come down the pike. Unlimited money in politics, and as I've talked about it several times, related to my favorite Senator Mitch McConnell. Uh, he seeks money to obtain power, and he uses that power to obtain more money. And he hoards that money over other senators and probably representatives' heads. I can help you, or my PAC can help you, but you got to toe the line. So that's what I got to say on that.
um but isn't it funny how all of this, they say stuff starts at the top and it rolls downhill, right? You never seen stuff roll uphill and always rolling downhill. Ever since on the federal level, we've had this particular individual who claims he was president. Um, it just trickled down into the states. And then from there, it's trickled down into the cities or the counties. So, you all remember the nightmare we had, Matt Bevin. The nightmare. That was because at the top, they were getting away with so much stuff. So at the state level, why can't they? Then at the city level, why can't they? It's like, I don't know if you all ever look at Atlanta Housewives. I don't look at it anymore, but I remember when I used to look at it, the lady named Cherie on there, she would be like, "Who's gonna check me, boo? Who's gonna check me?" And that's how it kind of felt. And it kind of feels that way right now, like in Frankfurt, like they're saying to us, "Who's gonna check me? Who's going to make a difference? We're the majority. We can gut the system. So then we have to strike back and gut the mess." You all see how I put that in there a little bit? Y'all like that?
Yeah.
So I'm being honest with you. Like last week, Commissioner Glass, Dr. Glass, he gave an urgent call last week. I don't know if you had an opportunity to see it, Chris, but he said it about 2 or 3 times, didn't he, Dougie Fresh? That, do not normalize this. This is serious. It is so serious that I used to look at The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu and I had to stop. Kim, that'll never happen. Where they lock everything down, and women have to give up if they work, give all their money to their husbands or whatever. And then they're gonna say women don't work. And then if you had any sin in your life that they knew of, you have to be a surrogate for the couples that couldn't have it. Why couldn't that happen?
Yeah, and more to your thing. I know this isn't in Kentucky, but DeSantis is trying to pass a law about alimony and alimony not having to be paid. I don't know the specifics of the law. I just saw an overview of it, but it has riled up some Republican women to the point that they said that they're going to switch parties and work everything that they have against him um, in this next election to boot him out. I mean, it is really an attack on women what he's trying to do, and he wants to be our next president. Um, and so it is absolutely scary what's happening.
What is even worse than that is that he's 30 to 40 percentage points behind Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness gracious, people. I've said several times, Canada is looking better all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you.
Well, that I don't know about Canada, but you remember this Dougie Fresh? I had looked and researched many other countries, and they are very kind in Portugal to people like me. And I can take my little inky dinky salad. No, I'm just playing. I make pretty good. I am not gonna lie, but I could take what I make and live like a queen in Portugal. So I think that's where I'm going to run to. I suggest that everybody gets that country that they're going to run to. A girlfriend of mine and her husband, they're going to run over to Ireland. So, Dougie Fresh is going to Canada. Where are you going, Chris?
I don't know. Initially, I would say Iceland, but I don't think my wife would go with me. Um,
You got to pick something where she's going to go.
Maybe Scotland. I already have a
Okay.
kilt to wear, so
It's always real misty and damp and humid over there. Just want to let you know that.
it's great for
Yeah, it
mushroom growing.
is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, become a mushroom
What kind of
farmer.
mushrooms you growing? But
Chris is a
Dougie,
shroomer.
Chris, Chris, Chris. Uh, ooh, boy.
Well, he does know a lot about
Chris, I
chemistry.
think you're supposed to. Yeah, I bet you do.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really fulfilling
I
the
won't
long haired
tell.
hippie vibe right now. So
I need to get me a hippie vibe. I'm getting a little bit older now. You get the hippie vibe, things don't stress you out as much. You be like groovy, baby. It's all good. So, Chris, I think you have a call to action.
I do. I do. So we need you, all right, to help ensure that 4 more years of a compassionate Commonwealth give us your views and work with us to expand the voter support for Andy and our great state of statewide candidates. So for this, we would like you to participate in our survey, and it's real simple. It'll just take you like 2 minutes, and you just like name, and you can give your email address or cell phone if you want, and then it'll ask you some questions about what your thoughts are on Andy or Daniel Cameron, and the last question is just how can you help us? Um, and so you could help us with texting and calling, or signing up new voters, or knocking on doors, things like that. So there's a lot of things that you can do to help Progress Kentucky get out the vote and support the candidates that we know that are really going to work for all of us, not just the wealthy people. So check out that link. It's in the comments. I can see it popped up there. Go there, take our survey, and help us turn out the vote in November. All right, Doug, for the close.
Sure, I'm going to get in trouble over this because Kimberly usually closes it out, but I haven't been assigned that duty, so here I go. Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit organization registered with Kentucky Secretary of State and organized as a 501c4. We are affiliated with the Indivisible Project, the Commonwealth Alliance Voter Engagement, CAVE, a great group of people. and orgs, and we're also proud members of the Forward Kentucky Network. Bruce Maples. Progress Kentucky's goal is to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. Make sure to join us next week. We'll be joined by a great guest. Production of episode 121. Isn't that amazing? 121 episodes was by the amazing one and only Annabel Nagel. And thank you, Nate, for the theme songs. You can find more information and music at natosongs.com. If you miss our weekly live stream on Facebook or YouTube, audio podcasts and our show notes are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. I was mowing today and I listened to a couple of Kernels of Truth. It's really fun. If you do listen to the pod, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening right now. Logo and some graphic content provided by Couchfire Media. More information can be found at couchfiremedia.com. Hope to see you all next week. Bye.